Hey, what's going on everyone? This is the Spegmeister, and welcome to the final mission in my Halo Anniversary Legendary walkthrough. On this episode, I'll be covering the Maw.
It'll hold.
We're not gonna make it.
We'll make it.
Pull up! Pull up! You did that on purpose, didn't you?
We need to get to the bridge. From there, we can use the captain's neural implants to initiate an overload of the ship's fusion engines. The explosion should damage enough systems below it to destroy the ring.
Alright, so if you hang around this beginning mission point and wait for the checkpoint to appear, a few sentinels will spawn below the airlocks. And the plasma rifle makes very quick work of these guys. Once you reach this ladder, wait up top and allow the sentinels below to take care of the carrier forms. In some cases, you may have to open fire just to get the carrier forms to move around. Once it sounds clear enough of the carrier forms, go ahead and jump down and clear out any infection forms close by. As for the group of sentinels in this corner, you can chuck a grenade either sticking one of them, or if you land it close enough below, it'll kill all four of those guys. At this next corner there will be 6 combat forms, and a well-placed grenade can actually take out all 6. One of them will have a shotgun and another may drop a pistol, so keep an eye out for both of those weapons. After this door pops open, try to get a grenade inside past these infection forms. If you're unable to do that, try to shoot the carrier form that's in the hallway. At this next corner, try to target the carrier form right away if possible. Otherwise, if he starts charging, just back away in case there are any chain reactions that he sets off. As you reach the hallway just outside the cafeteria, wait in this area for the hunters to burst open the doors. At this point, if you can have the pistol on hand, it'll make very easy work of the hunters. Otherwise, you can resort to the shotgun. In the cafeteria, there will be a squad of grunts led by one elite, and there's usually a couple of grunts with fuel rod cannons, so be sure to take them out before you handle the elite. At this time, if you need any frag grenades, there will be some in this little cubby area, as well as a couple of health kits. Before you cross the halfway mark in the cafeteria, chuck a couple of grenades by this doorway ahead, and you usually will be able to get the elites that charge into the room. If you kill them right away, the grunts will usually stay put in this hallway, making it very easy to tackle them.
The bridge. We made it. Let's get to work.
In the bridge, there will be a couple grunts as well with fuel rod cannons, so be very mindful of them.
Home for a few days and look what happens. This won't take long. There. That should give us enough time to make it to a lifeboat and put some distance between ourselves and Halo before the detonation.
I'm afraid that's out of the question, really.
Oh, hell.
Ridiculous! That you would imbue a warship's AI with such a wealth of knowledge? Weren't you worried it might be captured? Or destroyed?
He's in my data arrays, a local tap.
You can't imagine how exciting this is! To have a record of all of our lost time! Human history, is it? Fascinating. Oh, how I will enjoy every moment of its categorization! To think that you would destroy this installation as well as this record! I am shocked. Almost too shocked for words.
He stopped the self-destruct sequence.
Why do you continue to fight us, Reclaimer? You cannot win! Give us the construct, and I will endeavor to make your death relatively painless and...
At least I still have control over the comm channels.
Where is he?
I'm detecting taps throughout the ship. Sentinels, most likely. As for the monitor, he's in engineering. He must be trying to take the core offline. Even if I could get the countdown restarted, I don't know what to do.
How much firepower would you need to crack one of the engine's shields?
Not much. A well-placed grenade, perhaps, but why? Okay, I'm coming with you. Chief, Sentinels!
If you picked up a plasma rifle right before the cutscene, taking care of these sentinels will be a breeze.
The ship was heavily damaged when it crashed. Head to the cryo chamber. We should be able to get to the engine room through there.
And if you need a health kit after that engagement, there's one just outside the bridge. As you get to the door just outside this armory, get the Flood's attention and then just try to take cover by this barrier, or this central support beam. If the Flood get really aggressive, you can just back away and head back towards the bridge. On occasion, you might find one of the combat forms trapped behind this barrier. Once you reach this door, let the Covenant and Flood fight it out. Usually the Covenant will come out on top in this case. Before dealing with the Hunters, try and see if you can kill the Elite first. As you come into this next hallway, try to stick one of the sentinels right off the bat. And in this smaller hallway, there will be 3 more sentinels. Come into Cryo B through the first set of doors, and you can try to stick one of the sentinels once again, see if you can land a multi-kill. Otherwise, if the sentinels can't fly away, they'll still be in the blast and take down, and it'll be enough to hopefully take down their shields. And because I know there are plenty of health kits throughout this mission, I'm going to go ahead and show you one that's kind of hidden away if you hop over this pipe. Come through the second set of doors, and sometimes you might catch a couple of combat forms up top. Once you reach this ladder, what that'll trigger is a couple of sentinels to spawn in this glass corridor, as well as some combat forms down below in the hallway that we just exited from. Make sure to take out the flood that are in the hallway down low before you proceed. This ends up being a good area to fall back to if you find yourself struggling on this next part. What you want to do as soon as you get up top here is try to open fire, get the flood's attention that's in this next hallway, and let them deal with the sentinels. In some cases, if you find yourself struggling on legendary or any of the higher difficulties, it might be wise to leave the sentinels alive for as long as possible and just target the flood instead. I would recommend if you chuck any grenades or if you sense that a large explosion will go off, it would be best to just jump down low and get away from the action. If you are curious, these flood in the hallway that spawn up ahead only spawn in a limited number. So you don't have to worry about fighting an infinite number of flood as you're going through this part. After it seems like these guys are slowing down on their spawning, you can go ahead and make your way into this hallway. If you follow this hall all the way to the end, you'll find an overshield by these two elites. What I'm going to do is save that overshield for a later part. Otherwise, if you don't plan on fighting a number of these enemies here, you can just go ahead and pick up the overshield and continue on with the mission. If you plan on fighting this part, however, the way I like to do it is to get behind these struts in the wall, and every so often when these floods spawn in, it's just wise to walk in front of this hallway, get them to stop spawning, just to catch your breath and recharge on your shields. Every so often it may be a good idea to chuck a grenade in here just to clear out any potential large explosions so that the flood don't get you that way. If you are unsure whether an explosion may or may not go off, it's best to just try to back away into this last hallway and get away from the action. I would also avoid trying to use the plasma grenades if possible, because you don't want to wind up sticking one of these infection forms that charges out after you. Once again, after these guys stop spawning in, you can use this opportunity to go back and find a health kit. You'll find one in this control station if you haven't used it already. As you come to this next section, go ahead and kill the grunt that's coming down this perpendicular hall. And before you run out into this hallway, what I recommend doing is actually staying put in this area, letting the Covenant fight against the Sentinels, and eventually after the Sentinels are killed off, you'll have a number of Flood that spawn in. You can try to help the Covenant out by killing these Sentinels, just so that the Flood spawn in a little bit earlier. Once the Sentinels are out of the way, then you'll have these Floods spawning in the main hallway as well as a side passage. After a while, the Hunters will get overwhelmed unless the Covenant end up being rather efficient. Be careful if you're holding out in this corridor because you just don't want to be too close to any explosions that occur in the hallway. Also, it becomes very easy for the Flood to overwhelm you, but it can also be rather invitatious because the Flood will charge after you one at a time if you do accidentally get their attention. If it ever seems like the Flood aren't charging or engaging the Covenant, just open fire and usually that'll get the fight going again. But from the looks of it, the Covenant got wiped out pretty early, so now I'm just left with all these combat forms and carrier forms. So the best way to hold out against these guys is just to sit in this corridor, get their attention, and let them charge after you. You can use the occasional grenade to kill off a large group of them as well, if they start to overwhelm you. In this instance, I would think it's best to try to kill the carrier forms from as far of a distance as possible. In case if you're curious, the Flood will spawn in this side corridor and as well as in this back corner, as long as you don't have a direct line of sight of that on them through this glass. After clearing them out, instead of heading towards engineering, just go down the hallway a little ways further and enter the armory to get yourself a rocket launcher. You'll also have an opportunity to get a lot of ammo for the shotgun as well. Now if you wait in here long enough, one of the combat forms with active camo will spawn in this far doorway. And in some cases, he may bring along a whole group of enemies with him. But I think today it looks like that group isn't gonna show up. After you acquire ammo from the armory, come back to where the overshield was previously in the section that I cleared out. I end up saving the overshield for probably one of the trickier parts of this mission.
Located. We're here. Alert! The monitor has disabled all command access. We can't restart the countdown. The only remaining option is to detonate the ship's fusion reactors. That should do enough damage to destroy Halo. Don't worry, I have access to all of the reactor schematics and procedures. I'll walk you through it. First, we need to pull back the exhaust couplings. That will expose a shaft that leads to the primary fusion drive core.
Before you come around this corner, make sure to toss a frag grenade, killing off any combat forms nearby.
Good. Step 1 complete. You have a straight shot into the fusion reactor. We need a catalyst explosion to destabilize the magnetic containment field surrounding the fusion cells. Use explosives. I recommend a grenade or rocket. If you run out of explosives, there is an armory station located near the engine room's entrance. Analyzing. Fusion reactor number 1 destabilizing. Use explosives on the other 3 reactors. That should be enough to trigger a wildcat explosion on the engines.
If you ever see red dots appearing just outside of engineering, that'll usually indicate some sentinels spawning in the area. The easiest way to deal with them is just to exit the engineering through a side door and just waiting for them to detonate. If you ever find yourself low on ammo, including the rocket launcher, just go back to the armory and just restock on ammo whenever possible.
That did it! The engine's gone critical. Based on the current rate of decay, we should have 15 minutes to get off the ship. We don't have much time. We should move outside and signal for evac. Accessing schematics. There's a service lift at the top of the engine room. It leads to a Class 7 service corridor that runs along the ship's dorsal structure. Hurry!
When you come to the elevator that comes down, you'll have a couple of elites as well as some grunts. And the safest way to deal with this part is to just use the rocket launcher and grenades to clear it all out. Alright, for the fun part of this mission is the good old Warthog run. And for this, you can try to follow the approximate route that I'm taking. Otherwise, there's a few different side paths that you can take to complete this part. But otherwise, if you're struggling, I'll try to show one of the easier ways to get through this.
Coming to pick us up. Hold position here.
Cortana to Echo 419. 2 Covenant Banshees are approaching on your 6. Evade. Say again, evade. I'm hit. Mayday. Mayday. Airport buses are shot to hell. I can't hold her. I can't hold her.
Echo 419. She's gone. Calculating alternate escape route. Ship's inventory shows 1 Longsword fighter is still docked in Launch Bay 7. If we move now, we can make it.
Now, while these Banshees don't seem to show a pilot inside of them, you can actually shoot them down after Cortana finishes her dialogue. And the shotgun is very effective against those vehicles. As you make your way through this final stretch to the Longsword, just be careful of the 2 elites that are down low here. Sometimes you may be able to get them with their backs to you. Don't worry about the shade turrets up top because the rockets aren't going to be enough to deal with them. And that is the end of Halo C Anniversary.
We're cutting it close.
Here we go.
This is it, baby.
Shut them down. We'll need them later. Fancy a look?
Did anyone else make it?
Scanning. Just dust and echoes. We're all that's left. We did what we had to do for Earth. An entire Covenant armada obliterated, and the Flood. We had no choice. Halo, it's finished.
No. I think we're just getting started.
And with that, that is another guide in the books. Thank you all for joining in with me on this episode. I really had fun working on this guide and putting it all together. It's a very fun campaign, a very challenging one if you're playing on the higher difficulties. Yeah, it's one of my favorite Halo campaigns to play through, as well as Halo 2, Halo 3, even Reach and ODST. So with that being said, I hope you guys found this guide to be very useful in your endeavor through legendary difficulty or whichever difficulty you happen to be tackling. And hopefully I will catch you in my future guides or any of my past guides. So take care, everyone.